So, Elon Musk. We all know the companies, right? Tesla, SpaceX, X. On the surface, they look completely separate. I mean, you've got cars, rockets, social media. But what if I told you they're all just pieces of one giant puzzle? That there's a single, unifying vision, kind of like a theory of everything, that connects them all. Well, that's what we're going to unpack. Let's dive into the core philosophy that drives every single thing he does.
So, you gotta ask, what's the end game? What is his ultimate goal? It's the big question, isn't it? The one that hangs over everything he does. And let me tell you, the answer is way more complex, and honestly, a whole lot weirder than you probably think.
See, to really get what he's doing, you can't just look at the products themselves, the electric cars, the rockets that land themselves, even the app on your phone. Those are just the tools. The real goal, the big idea, it's something much, much bigger. We're talking about a full-on philosophical mission.
And at the heart of that mission is this concept he calls the consciousness machine. Sounds pretty sci-fi, right? But the key to unlocking what that even means, well, it actually starts with something we all know. The social media platform, X.
I mean, Musk has said it himself. His goal for X isn't just to make another social network. Nope. He wants to create a global town square, something that can bring all of humanity together into what he calls a collective consciousness. Okay, so what on earth does that actually mean?
All right, so for Musk, this whole collective consciousness thing is basically a giant planet-sized information network. Just try to picture it, connecting every single human thought, every idea, from every language, all into one system. And the goal? To massively level up our collective understanding of the universe itself. He's got this great analogy to explain it. Think about a single human cell. It's alive, it's conscious on some level, but it can't really do much on its own, right? It can't build a car. But you get 30 trillion of them working together and you get, well, you, a being that's so much more than the sum of its parts. He says the same thing applies to us as a species. One person can't build a spaceship, but all of us, connected as a collective, we absolutely can.
Okay, so if this collective consciousness is the how, the next logical question is, where is all this happening? What does the world actually look like for this new, super smart human collective?
Well, according to Musk, it's a world where you don't have to work at all. His prediction is that AI and robotics will get so advanced that jobs as we know them will become completely optional. Something you might do for fun, like a hobby, but not because you have to.
And get this, his timeline is wild. We're not talking about some far-off, distant sci-fi future. He thinks this huge shift could happen in as little as 10 to 15 years from now. Think about that. A world where nobody has to work, potentially within our lifetimes?
This really shows you the scale of what he's imagining. A world of complete abundance where AI and robots just provide everything we need. And in a world like that, what happens to money? Well, Musk sees money as just a system for organizing who does what job. If no one needs to do a job, money becomes totally irrelevant. It just disappears.
And we're talking way beyond just having your basic needs met. This vision is so much more radical. He's literally said, quote, "If you can think of it, you can have it." That's a true post-scarcity world. The only limit is what you can imagine, and AI is there to make it real, instantly.
All right, so let's recap. We have the how, this collective consciousness. We have the where, a world with no work in total abundance. But that brings us to the biggest question of them all. Why? What is the point of all this? Why build it in the first place?
No, seriously, think about it. If everything you could ever need or want is just there for the taking, and we're all connected in this global brain, what do we even do all day? What's the problem that this whole massive project is trying to solve? To get his answer, you have to know that Musk is a huge fan of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You know the story, right? A supercomputer calculates the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything, and the answer is 42. The only problem is, nobody knows what the actual question was. Musk thinks that's a perfect metaphor for humanity's situation.
So in his view, the universe is the answer. It's 42. The problem is we're not smart enough yet to even know what question we should be asking. And this is where everything clicks into place. You create a world of abundance to free humanity from the daily grind. Then you use that freedom to build a collective consciousness, a tool to make us smart enough, finally, to figure out the right questions to ask about reality.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the deepest layer of this whole philosophy, the one core idea that drives everything else, and the ultimate question he thinks we should be focused on.
His logic here, which he's talked about a lot, is actually pretty straightforward. Think about it. 50 years ago, the coolest video game was Pong, 2 rectangles and a dot. Today, we have these massive photorealistic virtual worlds. Now, just assume that rate of progress continues. It's not a huge leap to say that eventually games will be completely indistinguishable from reality. So, he asks a simple question. What are the odds that we happen to be in the one, original, base reality versus one of the billions of simulations that would almost certainly be created after that point?
For Musk, the conclusion is almost a statistical certainty. He thinks the probability that we're living inside a simulation is, in his words, pretty high, and the odds that we're in that original base reality, almost zero.
But here's where it gets really wild. He has a theory about how these simulations might work, their physics, if you will. He figures, look, at SpaceX or Tesla, they run tons of simulations. If a simulation is boring or doesn't lead anywhere, they just shut it down. So why would it be any different for a civilization running reality-level simulations? They'd get rid of the boring ones and keep the interesting ones going.
And this leads to a really mind-bending conclusion that kind of props up his whole philosophy. If only the interesting simulations survive, then it's like a form of digital Darwinism. The most interesting outcome becomes the most likely outcome. It means that for us, here, in our reality, the most dramatic, the most epic, the most fascinating future is actually the one that's statistically most likely to happen. So, that leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it? If he's right, if we really are in a simulation where the most interesting thing is the most likely thing, what does that mean for our future? And what exactly is the most interesting thing that could possibly happen next?